So for this video, I'm going to show how I'm going to continue off of the Kubernetes, and we just configured the networking on it when we created the Kubernetes service. And I'm going to talk about storage now. So there's going to be persistent storage that the pod uses, which the node uses, which the Kubernetes cluster uses. So it's similar to how like an app uses virtual machine. An app on a virtual machine uses disk or a storage account. So if you want to run an app on a pod, then there's two options. You could use Azure Premium Disk, which are disk only available to a single pod. Or the other option is to use Azure File Shares, and they could be accessed via multiple nodes or pods. So yeah, you got premium disk or you got Azure Files on a storage account. So here I already have a Kubernetes service, and I'm gonna create a disk and show how you could use the disk to run an app that's gonna be in the Kubernetes service. So the disk will be applied to an application that's running on a pod. So I'm gonna open up the Cloud Shell and run a couple commands. In the other video I showed how to use a YAML file for the app configuration, so we're gonna use that so we can have an Nginx server, and then we're gonna mount it. So the Nginx container will be deployed after deploying the YAML file. So then we could be able to mount the volume, which is just mounting the disk onto that. So anyway, let me clear the screen. One thing to note is that this works only if you don't have your cluster in any availability zones. So by default, when you go to create it, it'll assign it 1, 2, and 3, but I told it that I don't want any. So make sure you don't have any if you're doing it this way. And also another thing to know is that I have it part as this resource group, but when it creates all the other stuff, it assigns it to a whole new resource group that's different. So let's go back to Cloud Shell. So first do AKS get credentials. So, and then resource group new RG, and then the name of the cluster is demo cluster. So we're getting the resource group and we're just getting credentials of this cluster. And let me make sure. Yeah. And I spelled resource group wrong. Okay, I'll come back when it's ready. Oh wow, I messed it up even more. Okay, that should work. Demo cluster. I'll come back when now it's ready for sure. Alright, there. So we got the credentials. Now we want to get the resource group, which holds the nodes of the Kubernetes cluster. So AZ AKS show and resource group new RG, and then the name demo cluster, and then query node resource group -o and TSV resource. Okay, So that's one it has, because I told you they created a separate one from the one before. So now we want to create the disk, and we should make sure to change the resource group to this. So that's going to be az disk create resource group is MC new RG. I'm getting from the line above, demo cluster, and then it's East US. Okay. And then the name is, let's call it cluster disk, and size gigabytes 20, query ID output TSV. That's what the -o is, just output. Alright, so it worked, and now we want to copy this, and we want to change the URI. Okay, and it should be called cluster disk, like that. And basically it's just creating a Nginx one. So it's just deploying a container based on an Nginx image, and it's going to and it's just gonna have, you know, a disk that we just created. So that's what it does. So anyway, I saved it, so now we're gonna go upload it. And okay, so we're done with that. So let's go to our cluster, and let's add that file here that we're talking about. As you can see, we're you know, creating a mount point here. Anyway, so go to workloads and add, and copy all this. And add it, refresh it, alright, wait about a minute, let's hope it's ready. Alright, it's ready. So that's how to, you know, create a cluster and then add a disk to it so that you could use it. So basically we just created a disk, and you could assign it to an application that's running in the pod. And if you want to do more with it, then that'll be the next video.